Alright, so what's wrong with this picture? Give up yet? Can't figure it out? Alright, so today I'm going to talk about an important lesson that everybody should learn and follow, and I'm going to use an example of the Texas church shooting to kind of prove my point. Stephen Willeford, who is, as far as I'm concerned, an American hero, a true hero, not the crap you see on in the sports or whatever, but someone who truly deserves our respect, was the person who stopped the Texas church shooter. And he did so with an AR-15. He had good marksmanship and was able to knock him out and prevent further loss of life. And the one problem he ran into was he had the proper tool, he had the proper ammunition, but it wasn't in the right place. His mags were empty. And today I'm going to talk about the importance of keeping your mags loaded. If you listen to Stephen Crowder's video where he'd had an interview with Willeford, very good interview, I definitely recommend checking it out. He talked about how as he was running out of his house, he was basically loading magazines, or loading a magazine to go after this guy. And while he was able to take care of the threat with efficiency, it certainly left him open. And in fact, when you hear him talk about it, when they were pursuing him in a vehicle, he only had 2 rounds left in one magazine because he hadn't been able to load a full mag. So it's important to load your magazines and keep them safe. Now, you don't have to load all of them, but it's important. I see so many people where they'll have a gun safe and they'll have a stack of magazines, they'll have a stack of ammo, and they'll have a row of guns, but they're all separate. And, you know, say somebody's breaking into your house. For whatever reason, say you need that firearm, for whatever you might need it for defensive-wise, you don't want to be loading magazines in the middle of the night. You don't want to have to be sitting there with your flashlight trying to feed ammunition into magazines, because it's a lot easier to slam a magazine into a gun and go than it is to have to thumb in rounds. And that's the important lesson that we can learn from this is to always keep some of your mags or all of your mags loaded. Actually, I'll show you. Alright, so here we are inside my gun safe, and as you can see, just about every single one of the guns I might use for self-defense to protect myself has at least 1 or more loaded magazines ready to go. I keep them in the front on a separate shelf so that if they're needed, all I have to do is open up my safe and pull out whichever gun I need, and then the ammunition for it is right there ready to go. I keep speed loaders for my revolvers, some speed strips for my little 38, and mags for the AR and my 45. Now, a lot of people, you know, one of the reasons why they don't like to keep loaded mags or anything around is they worry about, you know, kids getting into them, people getting into stuff and doing something they don't want them to do. And I understand that, you know, everybody, you know, when you've got family members who may or may not, you know, be confident enough to be around that kind of stuff, I can understand you don't want to keep loaded magazines. But here's the thing, it's important to keep stuff in safes. You know, if you hear the story, he opened his safe and took his gun out of the safe, which is the same way I have my stuff. That way, if someone were to come over, or for whatever reason somebody was around that, you know, I didn't want somebody necessarily getting into it, I don't have to worry. So that's the thing to think about, is if you've properly secured your stuff, which you should, it's important, then keeping loaded magazines and a loaded gun around isn't really a threat. It's just something to consider, and like I said, it's something that I see a lot of times where people, you know, have plenty of ammo, plenty of mags, plenty of guns, but maybe not necessarily in the most optimal form of readiness. So just a quick thing I wanted to put out there, and have a good day.